Kings, queens, and everything.
Oh, I was like, girls, gays, and nope.
Them
Okay,
too.
all of that. Hi, good morning.
Welcome to the Peasantless Party podcast. Charlotte is sick today, so Annabelle and I are running the ship.
Hey, so it's me, Annabelle, and then proxy
Buddy.
Charlotte, buddy.
Yeah, so we thought it would be fun. She got sick yesterday. She's been in bed since
She has
yesterday.
the brain-eating amoeba that she
Yes.
got from Lake Austin or something like that.
Yeah.
Right?
She's not sure what exactly is wrong with her. She is feeling slightly better today. But,
Oh, that's good. Okay. Oh, yeah, she just texted me a bunch of stuff.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so she is not with us today.
She's not. Yeah, we're hoping she doesn't have the little amoeba germ that shoots up your nose and then it eats your brain, I think.
She did not get her head underwater paddleboarding or
Didn't get her head underwater at all. Okay.
what did I just say? That place, Commons
Ford.
Yeah. However, I did just see a video on TikTok this morning of a girl saying that you should not get into Lady Bird because of the runoff from the city goes into Lady Bird and that people get really sick from Lady Bird.
I think I heard, dude, of course, we're so armchair diagnostics. I don't know actually what this really is, but I think I'd heard something about the blue algae, and it's the thing that kills the dogs. So
It's all over in the water right now.
yeah, totally nasty. I think that he has something to do with it, but dogs will go down there and drink the water and then turn up dead. So don't let your dog go in there either.
I saw that you were at some body of water day before yesterday, with some friends maybe?
Where was that?
Some waterfalls or something?
Oh my gosh.
It looked really cool.
Yes. We went to Krause Springs.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever seen the movie Teeth?
No.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
Okay, so it was a movie. I think it came out. I ended up looking it up. I think it came out in 2007 because I was 12 at the time that it came out, and it's a horror film essentially, but it's about a teenage girl who discovers that she has teeth in her vagina, and it goes into themes of themes assault. So
And that's not normal, right?
That's you're not supposed to have those actually.
Okay.
But she ends up chopping a bunch of guys' dicks off. Fascinating film. Actually, it's really a good movie. It's kind of well produced randomly. But there's a cave scene. I won't give anything away. There's a cave scene and it's filmed there at Krause Springs.
That's cool. It looks cool.
Yeah, it's super beautiful. Lots of kids, but
Yeah, like I said, we went to the Commons Ford Ranch, I believe is what it's called.
I've never
the other day.
been.
It was really cool.
Go.
It was a big open area, lots of dogs, lots of people in the water, everything. A little bit of drama, but the girl that not with us, but we witnessed some drama.
I love witnessing drama, buddy. I love witnessing drama.
I'll tell you,
what they did.
I didn't know who the person was. Someone found them online. And I'll tell you when we leave, but I don't want to give no free shout outs. So
yeah, no free clout.
Yeah, no free shout outs. Pay me.
No free clout in here.
But yeah, so that was entertaining to say the least. But
very cool. I hate to say it, but God, I'd love to be a little fly on the wall. I'd love to be a witness to some bullshit. I just can't. I love to. I'm a chismosa. I love to know.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's with this being a dating podcast. I think that's why dating podcasts and TikToks and everything are so interesting to people, is because we are kind of all curious because it's something. We all experience life and we all want to see what others' experiences are.
Totally.
While women like true crime, I think, it's they
definitely
love the drama of it, but they're also I think there's a little bit of relatability. That could have been me.
Absolutely.
I walked home from the bar last night. It could have been me that got
could have been you. Yeah, and
face.
What would you have done in this situation? And I think there's just something to being privy to a very vulnerable moment like that. I love true crime. I mean, I love the legal aspect of everything.
Sure.
I love seeing how it kind of unfolds and all that. But yeah, I also, I don't know, I feel I relate to it because there's nothing like that feeling of that white hot fear feeling, and everybody I feel has had it at some point in their life where you have that holy shit, I'm like genuinely very scared right now. And to like hear these stories and just know that people like were experiencing that feeling, I don't know, you feel like some kind of like very human connection to it.
I'm not a smart person, but I listen to smart people a lot. And I remember what they say sometimes, so I'm probably going to misquote this, but someone was saying that like the endorphin rush or adrenaline that your body gets, your brain doesn't know the difference in like excited and scared.
Whoa.
'Cause it's the same rush. Like, I guess you know when you're excited and you know when you're scared, but like the chemicals, I guess, that run are the same.
Yes.
So like you are speeding and a cop pulls out behind you is the same, like, and
run.
So like the relief,
drive fast.
Yeah,
Drive away from him.
so the relief from that is like the same thing. It's like the same euphoria. So like you're right. Like even though it's scary and you don't want it to happen, the rush is still like exciting.
Whoa.
To your body, it still gets your heart rate up and stuff like that.
Okay, let me ask you something. So I feel like these two like fears run parallel to each other. There's like the adrenaline junkie.
Okay.
Which I always equate it to. I'm wearing my Burton shirt today. My my coworker Chris Burton, he's like an adrenaline junkie. He loves like roller coasters and like haunted houses, you know, where you like go through and they jump out at you and stuff. And I kind of hate that shit. I'll go to haunted houses now. I find them fun because like we all go together. But like I hate roller coasters. I hate adrenaline. I'm never jumping out of a fucking plane. Don't understand it. I don't understand the like the sudden like I'm about to die because I'm about to like plummet to the ground feeling.
Right.
But I love a real haunted house. I love Ouija boards. I love like all of that, like that type of fear of sort of like this.
Yes, you don't like
unknown.
jump scares and stuff like that.
No, they don't appeal to me. No, I don't.
You find that in movies too? Like you like movies that are actually like
yes.
The storyline is like creepy and eerie, but not like jump out. Scary.
Absolutely, yeah. I like more indie films where it's like a sort of slower burn. I feel like the jump scares that feels cheap to me, honestly.
It is cheap.
Yeah. And not memorable, like when movies are structured like that.
Have you heard about this new scary movie that follows the killer's POV the whole time? It's supposedly like the most gory scary movie.
It? Yes, somebody was talking about this. What is it?
It's got like the most graphic killer scene.
Oh my god!
It.
Somebody was telling me about this. Maybe a client. What movie is it?
I don't know what it's called, but I'll look it up really quick.
It's new.
It's newer. I think you can rent it.
Ooh, I'm also super big on practical effects, like special effects. Totally take me out of it completely. They like ruin the suspended disbelief for me because.
Interesting. That makes sense.
Yeah.
What about movies that have like obviously fake like blood and stuff like that? Like last night I slept in the living room because Charlotte's sick and you know wanted to give her peace. I took Dolly and I watched American Psycho for the first time. Have you seen it?
Yeah.
Like,
American Psycho.
When he, spoiler alert, it's 24 years old, but when he like kills his the coworker guy in the living room with the axe, the first person outside the homeless person, the blood is like Quentin Tarantino-esque.
Yes.
It's very bright red blood.
Listen, I do.
What do you think
love
about those special effects? Intentionally bad.
Yes, I love them. I love them if they're done well. Really, I feel like I feel like if it's like a cult film like that. Sorry, but it like changes my opinion of it. It makes me like it more. Whereas if it was not a critically acclaimed director or whatever, somebody just kind of made it and it like looked sloppy, then I wouldn't like it. But like, have you seen Death Proof?
Yes.
I just watched Death Proof for the first time the other day. It's a Quentin Tarantino film. It's bad. It's not good. It's very bad, but it's like really good. And it's very much like that.
The movie I was referencing is called In a Violent Nature.
Interesting.
And
okay.
apparently it's like for horror films, for horror freaks, like people that really like it. Like I know y'all watch a lot of them.
Yes, we do.
But it follows the killer the whole time. So a lot of the scenes are just the killer walking. Because like usually you're seeing the killer like come towards the camera.
Yeah.
You're watching him. Do whatever. You're following this person who's eventually going to get slashed.
And he's popping out of nowhere.
But in this one, I think I don't know if it's like over the shoulder or whatever, but you're following him the whole time. So sometimes you're just watching him like stalk someone. but that also means that like
horrifying.
you see his POV of
Yeah.
like killing someone, and apparently one of them is like the goriest. And I didn't watch it. I looked it up because I don't want to watch it.
You're not into that. You don't like that.
I just don't care. Like if there was a really scary movie, I would go to the theater and see it because the experience is going to be amplified in that like environment.
Yeah.
Like when Top Gun Maverick came out, I went to the theater and saw it because it's made for the theater.
Yeah.
Like certain movies I think need to be seen in the theater. Like I love the movie Coco, the Disney movie. I'm not going to the theater to see Coco because it's going to be just as impactful at home sitting on the couch.
Coco's the one with it's in Mexico, right?
Mm-hmm.
In the afterlife. Mm-hmm. That's a great one.
Yeah.
That's such a sweet one.
It's top 3 for me.
Really? Coco? Okay.
Top 3 Disney movies
I
for
love
me,
that.
not top 3 of all movies.
That's so funny. You know what's so funny that I found out you and Daniel, my boyfriend, have in common? The Devil Wears Prada. You guys both love The Devil Wears Prada.
It is my guilty pleasure movie.
Yes, I just did a Devil Wears Prada like tattoo on his wrist. The little
Is
high
it an
heel
onion
with
bagel?
No, it's not. It's the little high heel with the like devil.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah.
Trident. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, and I heard that you liked it. I was like, damn, that's funny that like a bunch of boys really like this movie for some reason.
I didn't watch it even intentionally. I had a roommate who was gay when I very first moved out, like my very first apartment ever.
Mm-hmm.
And I would work on my computer when I wasn't at work all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I would sit in the living room, so it was somewhat social. He played World of Warcraft in the living room. So a lot of times he would have his headphones sitting over there, and I would have my headphones on sitting over here, and then it would just be silent in the room. And so he would put in a movie, and then it got to where we would just like replay the same movie.
You can
over
do
and
that.
over
You can
again.
just play a movie in the background and not.
I need something all the time. I
Whoa,
hate.
you can't sit with your own thoughts.
No, it's a dark place.
Can't sit in silence with your
Yeah,
own
that's
thoughts.
why I don't need horror movies because I
Okay,
live in one.
yeah. You're storing it all up in there.
I don't have them on me currently, but I usually have like headphones in my pocket. Because like if I go into Target to go shopping, I'll throw headphones in, listen to a podcast or listen to music. Like I don't do silence.
Nice. I know we said no free clout, but what podcasts, like top 3, what are you listening to? What are you popping on?
The typical male podcast. I listen to Joe Rogan.
You listen to Theo Vaughn? Do you listen to his podcast?
I do.
He
I
just dropped an episode with Louis Theroux, and I really want to listen.
I listened to it the other day.
Is it good?
It's
I
really good.
love Louis Theroux.
I think, I mean, he doesn't need the shout out because Theo is like absolutely blown up in the last like year or two. I was a fan of, I have a picture with Theo in Nashville at a comedy show in 2015.
So dope.
Not that I'm like the cool hipster that was a fan before I was a fan, but I've been a fan of since like the real world days.
Yeah. Since back.
Back when he like wasn't big yet.
Yeah.
But
Crazy.
his podcasts are good no matter who the guest is. Some podcasts are guest dependent. I don't think his is like that.
Yeah.
He will have on. He makes anything interesting, and he has on like he had a sanitation worker from New York on. He had a guy
So cool.
like he has on he had a lunch lady on.
Yeah.
He had a mortician on.
Yeah.
But he also had he just had the Suicide Boys on.
Did he really?
that
Was it good?
Really good because they talk about like things. Because he's so weird and silly, he like makes people more human.
Yeah.
Like
Suicide Boys are New Orleans, right? Or
yes,
Louisiana?
but they talk about the fact that New Orleans doesn't give them love. It's like on their new tour, they're not even going to New Orleans.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? I'm
but,
trying
like,
to go to New Orleans.
I wouldn't have known that.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to think. That one was really good. This past weekend, Theo Vaughn.
Okay.
And Theo's great. I listened to Rogan, but I've listened to Rogan since 2008, which I think is maybe the year it started. And
damn, for real?
as cliche as it is,
2008? That's like before podcasts.
it might have been 9.
That's crazy.
But I've gone back and listened to the episode. I've listened to every episode. I've at least started every episode.
Whoa.
There's a couple that I can't finish because of. I hope I don't ruin podcasts for anyone, but if you listen in headphones, sometimes people have like a really wet mouth. And so
that's making me want to fucking end it all right now.
I could listen to it in my car, but I can't listen to it in my headphones. It's like,
oh my God, I hate that. I hate mouth noises. You know, there's a word for that. It's misophonia.
Yep. And I get that really bad. Your sister, when she eats fries and tortilla chips, drives me nuts.
Dude, the crunch. Oh!
I told her the other night, I was like, when you eat fries, I literally hate everything that exists.
But so crunch bothers you too?
It's any mouth sound.
Okay, I can handle crunch. It's like wet mouth noises that I can't handle.
Yeah. And
I hate it so much.
But I've at least started every episode, and I will say that nothing has had as big of an impact on my life as that podcast has.
Really?
Yeah, and it's because I listen. I think it's because I listen to every episode. So people that like, and no hate against people that pick and choose or don't have time. I'm in a car a lot. I listen to it while I walk in the morning, whatever.
Yeah.
But when you listen to him talk to like a professional wrestler and then I don't know, astrophysicist and then a human biologist and then a comedian and then everything, you get such a like an exposure to things that you would never ever think about it. And like, even if there's people on there that I don't necessarily care for, I listen, because even if you only take one thing away from it, I took something away. So I really like that. But I've seen on like girls on podcasts and stuff say that Rogan is a red flag. Like, I think it's because he's perceived to be like,
he has pretty like
toxic masculinity.
Yeah, and he definitely, I mean, I don't listen to him, so I really can't like speak to it too much.
I would love to know what the perception is, though, so go with this.
So my perception of it, being somebody from the outside who like does not listen at all, but knowing what I know, just that he will have on like really right-wing guests, and then the way I understand it is he'll kind of be like, oh, that's true, yeah, and like agree with them. And
okay. So that is a really common, I will say, misconception.
Okay.
What he does is he gives people platforms that don't have platforms. So a lot of times in today's mainstream media, it's hard for someone who thinks on the right side of things to get time to actually speak, because a lot of our media is on the left and left leaning. Probably,
you think so?
Definitely, yeah. I mean, if you look at like the three major
like mainstream media
news outlets would be CNN, MSNBC, and Fox News. Probably Fox News is right leaning, the other two are left. So even there, you're 2-1. But I think that like in general, a lot of things are left leaning right now. Like it's and that's not a bad thing. Like I think that we're more progressive than we've ever been. But like, you know, whether it be gender issues or race issues or whatever, those things are seen as left leaning, especially like the radical side of
as
them.
far as like contemporary media. And I think that
yes.
the connection is just because contemporary media like belongs to younger people, and the crowd is for like left or leaning.
So he got this whole thing about like being on the far right and platforming those people during the pandemic.
I mean, there was that too.
Because the media was very pro shutdown, because they wanted everyone to follow the rules, whether you believe in what they were doing or not. He wanted to have the opposite side on, because he always wants to have both sides on. He wants to see what you have to say and what you have to say, and then find his own answer somewhere in the middle. So like he had Robert Kennedy Jr. on his podcast.
A fascinating character. I'll say that.
Fascinating. And if you haven't looked into him, you should really
fascinating guy.
You should listen to him talk, because some of the things that he says are very I'm not going to say I'm a conspiracy theorist or that I believe everything that he says, but when you start looking into some of the stuff, you go, okay, it's a little unsettling.
Like what? Give me an example.
Oh God. Atrazine. You familiar?
No.
Well, let me tell you this first. So when he was on Rogan, the first like hour he talks.
Okay. Does not. No
Rogan, but he did that on purpose because anytime he goes on the news, right or left, the right supports one candidate, the left supports the other candidate. He doesn't really have an outlet to just talk.
Right, yeah.
So Rogan let him talk for like an hour.
Wow.
And he almost cried at the end of it. He's like, I've never had the opportunity to like really tell my side of things
uninterrupted. Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah. And this is not right or left, but he wrote a book called The Real Anthony Fauci.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And he makes a lot of crazy claims in there, but he's never been sued for any of them.
Oh. So nothing is qualifies as libel, I guess. Interesting.
Yeah.
Which indicates that some things are true, or does it though? That's a big jump.
So atrazine, the thing that I just heard the other day, and I haven't looked into it enough to have an informed opinion, but like I said, some things just make you go, just make you go, right? Yeah. So atrazine, Charlotte's gonna hate that I'm like going into this, but atrazine is, Alex Jones says atrazine, you've ever heard like, they're making the frogs gay. The water's making the frogs gay. So that's like a clip, right, that sounds insane. But what it is there was a study done where they put like levels of atrazine in the water.
What is atrazine?
A chemical is the best I know. Like I said, I'm stupid.
What is it used for specifically?
It's a chemical that's allowed to be in the water. I don't know exactly what it's for. But Alex Jones says it's making the frogs gay. Well, the reason he says that is they did a study where the scientist gave water to these water to these frogs, like a certain group of frogs that had what the FDA says is acceptable levels of atrazine in it. And 70% of those frogs or something like that, some of them like changed gender. Some of them became genderless. And the ones that changed gender, even some of them like produced like eggs. So when they're talking about that, him saying like they're making the frogs gay is him of like making a clip out of it. But like Robert Kennedy Jr.'s thing is, why do we have atrazine in the water at all? Maybe we should look at the way that gender dysphoria is changing in our country, because we are having a rise. I'm not saying it's bad or that it's good, for nobody attack me, but like we definitely have more people that are identifying as different genders than that they were assigned at birth and things like that. And that's where he's saying, I'm not saying there is a correlation, but if you look at the frogs, that's where you go,
Interesting. So I would have to rebut that, just because I think there is a lot of causation versus correlation type stuff going on there, right? Like in theory, it's like, oh yeah, maybe there's a link, but I think the far and away the biggest link, and really the reason why like people experience gender euphoria, or there are like higher numbers of like gay, lesbian, bisexual people, is just purely because of like societal change, like slow societal change, and like general acceptance of these things, and like the space to question something like that, the space to question the binary. And I think once people start doing that, they realize that like gender like really is kind of a social construct, like how you present, how you like define what gender you are. And I think that's like not necessarily a chemical change. There might be some kind of like mental health type thing like wrapped up in there, but I think usually, again, causation is like mental health struggles begin kind of at the point of like, I'm struggling with my gender, and I'm struggling with my sexuality.
Yeah, I think where I lean on this, if we're looking at like an old school scale, is it's probably both. And I don't know which way the scale teeters, but like it could be that, or it could be this. Both of them make sense. I do think that it's more acceptable now to be open with however you feel and think and everything.
Yeah,
so absolutely. I definitely think that plays a part in it too. Like I'm not saying that I think atrazine or that the water makes people trans. I'm not saying that at all. But it is weird to look at like a study that does that. But I also work with kids, so like I know for a fact that like it's more common today than ever.
Totally.
But it's also not as common as we're told.
Yeah, that's true. You mean as far as somebody being trans, like it's not as common as you're told? Yeah, absolutely. They're
I work with like 200 kids a week, and
100%.
There's less than one.
100%. And I will say I used to work with super behavioral kids. I used to work with in a setting, like a crisis setting, with youth ages 6 to 17.
Yeah.
Group homes, foster homes, etc. And when they are exposed to other kids who are like going through all these changes, it influences them 100%.
For sure.
In the same way that, like, you know, a child who experienced some sort of like sexual assault, like, has sexual behaviors, and they kind of get like passed and communicated to other kids, and like they are absolutely influenced by each other.
Yeah, I also think and we'll get to dating in just 1 second because we've just kind of chatted.
Whatever.
We do this anyway whenever we talk. I think the other thing about this, I think that maybe gets, I don't want to say overstated, because for people who take this very seriously, it's very serious to them. But a lot of the things that I think, like kids identifying as this or that, a lot of it is just an exploration of who they are growing up as like young adolescents and teens. And the average kid who is going through these situations and these feelings doesn't want to have a physical change. They don't want to take hormones necessarily. They're just experimenting with who they are.
Absolutely.
And maybe they want to change the pronouns in their bio, or maybe they want to date a girl instead of dating a boy in middle school.
Totally.
And there's nothing wrong with those things at all. I think that we are made to believe by both sides of our media that because a middle school girl puts them in her bio that she wants this, and also that she wants this, when really it's just a Wednesday.
It's just a Wednesday. They're just kids. They're experiencing life. I will say the speculation that like young children are being, number one, indoctrinated, number two, medicated, like against the parents' consent. They're being rushed into medication. They're being rushed into like any type of like surgery or like really like medical gender affirming care. That's like pretty fucking objectively false. Like that does not happen. If there are like, it's such a small number of youth that are approved for like medical changes and medical care, and like any type of like prescriptions really. And they have to go through a really long process, like, to get there, to be able to start taking testosterone as a child under the age of 18.
Yeah, I don't want to like get into that online necessarily, because that gets like really muddy waters. But yeah, I mean, like we said, usually it's just a Wednesday.
But I think that's usually
that's
like the scapegoat. That's the concern that people lean on when they're like, yeah, like, oh, it's making all the kids gay, and like there's, you know, an organized cabal that wants that to happen, and they're feeding the kids medication. They're not.
I think in the media it's seen as like an organized cabal, but really what it is it's like a hive mind, like you're saying. Like one kid puts it in their bio, so the next kid. So it's not actually like indoctrination from like this overlord that's like beaming down on them. It's that like one kid does it and then it spreads. So they see the spread and they assume that it's through social media, which does have an impact because it's made more normal, so more kids are aware of it. Not that that's a bad thing, but like the indoctrination, I don't think is like a concerted effort from a body, whether it be governing or social body, whatever, you know, a community, to indoctrinate kids. I just think that it's part of what happens, you know, like,
sure,
it's a hive mind. Like it just becomes more popular, so it's more readily available.
Hive mind,
see it more.
I think also though, like if one kid comes out as like trans or non-binary, like other kids that identify that way inside of themselves are drawn to those groups. So like if one kid is out, like, and it seems like, oh, there's hive mind, a bunch of them are popping up and they're all hanging out with each other. They probably already were, and then one began to present that way, and like they start to like get together and like become friends because they identify with each other. That's my take on it.
I think there's a study that shows that it happens in fours.
What?
That like
fours?
Yeah, because like you were a middle school girl. Yeah. You all start wearing the same thing together because no one wants to be the different one. So like a lot of times girls are going to come out as like bi or they, them, or non-binary or whatever. But
I do remember it was very hot to be bisexual in middle school.
Right, but like it'll start at like a sleepover and everybody's like talking about it and they're like, when I go to school on Monday, and then like you see it in like groups of friends. Yeah. There's usually not like a singular friend in the group that comes out because kids are afraid of being the one that stands out. Even if it is socially acceptable, it's usually like, oh, we're all this now. Like, we're all going to wear MAGA hats to school. We're all going to be non-binary. That way nobody can make fun of all of us. We're all going to wear, you know, boots to school now. It's the cool thing. But
theoretically, something like that would filter itself out over time, you know, because you're not like, if even if you're...
does. I think we're seeing, like I said, there's just a wave. I think that you see like middle school girls, like I see middle school girls now that like I've worked with middle schoolers and high schoolers since 2004, and you see the waves come in and out. Like Charlotte and I just went and saw Flatline Calvary not long ago, and I told her it was really cool to see how country music is cool now. Because when I was a kid, people laughed at you if you listened to country music. Everyone listened to rap music. Or like divorced dad rock now, like Creed and Nickelback and stuff.
Sick.
But that was what was cool. Like even the guys that drove the big jacked up trucks listened to rap music. Like gangster, like hard rap music. You know, and they would blast it in their cars. Now everyone listens to country music. So like when we went and saw that show, you would see a group of like 5 girls walking in together, like middle school, high school age girls. Then you'd see like 5 or 6 guys all walking in together. You have never seen that when I was a kid. You only went to a country concert like with your girlfriend, really, or like with your parents. Like it wasn't cool. Now it's the cool thing. It's been made to be the cool thing.
But it's different now too. Country music is very different now, I feel. At least the
pendulum has almost swung all the way back now. So like I grew up in 90s country, which is the greatest genre of music of all time.
I think there's a stark difference between that and then 9/11 country.
So you went to like 90s country was over here, and then you swung to this side, which was like Florida Georgia line, poppy country,
nationalist type stuff.
And then you swung back to like Flatline Calvary, Zach Bryan. People say it's not country, but like singer songwriter feels more real. Back to, I think we've worked our way back to that, which is maybe why it's more popular again.
Yeah.
But so I had dating questions.
Yeah.
It's about compliments.
Okay.
Because I do a lot of dating stuff on TikTok. Charlotte does obviously too. So we get a lot of it on our For You page. And one of the things that I think that men and women have such a hard time getting on the same page on is compliments.
Okay.
So I think that there are things that guys think are good compliments that some women don't take as good compliments.
Okay. Yeah.
So,
interesting.
I just had a video go kind of viral, not about dating, but about when you're like in public and saying like, hey, how are you today, to the cashier, and people are like, that some woman made a video saying like, you shouldn't do that, it's rude, don't do that. Nobody wants to like tell you about their day. They might be having a bad day, it's triggering. In my opinion, your triggers are not someone else's responsibility. They're just being polite.
Trader Joe's, they're like required, aren't they, to do that?
Yeah.
That would be insane. Yeah. Okay.
But anyway, my thing was like, if someone means a compliment, even if you don't necessarily think it's a compliment, their intention should matter as well. And then if you start dating them, like if you were insecure about your knees and somebody said like, hey, nice knees, and you're like, that's not a good thing.
Nice knees.
I'm trying to think of like the most random thing.
Really great knees you have there.
But like, you know, if someone said something like that, then like they're giving you a compliment. They're saying something nice about you. But I think that often like things that guys say, so I want to give you some things and you tell me if this is a good compliment. We're going to say first date.
Okay, yeah, I was going to say we need a little context as well.
Yeah.
Okay,
we'll say first date.
First time meeting him?
Yeah, we'll say. Because most people are meeting on dating apps, I would assume.
Yes, yeah.
At least for first dates. So if a guy says that if a guy says you look nice, is that different than saying that you look pretty? And are they okay? So if I said like, hey, you look pretty tonight, or you look nice tonight, you look great tonight, are those all interchangeable to you?
They would both be acceptable on a first date, but I wouldn't say they're interchangeable. I think you look really nice is like a much gentler and like more trustworthy way to get into the
I would
date,
agree with that.
I would say.
I
would be more willing to trust if it's not starting out on a like I'm kind of you know, eyeing you up and down, like then I feel more comfortable starting the date and like getting into it. I would prefer that it starts, you know, really mild.
I agree. I think guys, if you're watching this, say that the girl looks really nice, more than nice. Don't say she's hot.
Yeah.
Don't say you look beautiful. Don't say you look gorgeous.
Yeah.
Which
is hard sometimes, you know, when you meet someone, I'm sure you want to be like, wow, you look beautiful, you know?
I think your words go along with like your touch though.
Yeah.
Like the levels escalate on the graph the same way. So
totally.
start off with like you look nice. That might mean that you like start your date with like a gentle handshake.
Yeah.
Or a side hug.
Yeah.
Depending on how much you've talked, maybe you feel comfortable hugging, but usually defer to the woman to just kind of initiate touch. Yeah. But like as you get more used to each other, like maybe a third or fourth date, you can go, you look beautiful. That comes with like an actual embrace on like the third hug.
Definitely.
Things like that.
But building your way up slowly to that too, like just feels better. Like I feel like it's a stronger foundation. And then when a guy like that you've been seeing finally says like, oh, you look really beautiful, you're like, thank you.
Do you think that girls sometimes don't trust compliments? So like if you showed up to like a casual date, like say you were going on a lunch date after this and he said, you look stunning today, would you be like, okay, now I know you're full of shit because I'm wearing a t-shirt and jean shorts? Yeah. So like maybe say like, you look nice today, or maybe find a compliment that's not
looks based.
Non-looks based compliments are really hard for guys.
True. Or say something more like, oh my God, I love your boots.
Right.
That was a very girly, oh my God, I love your boots. If you're a guy, you don't have to say that, but.
Yeah, but I mean, saying like, oh, those are cool.
Yeah, totally. There you go.
You don't have to always say like, I like something.
Yes. I love how
or like, that's a sick logo on your shirt. Like, even though it's not your logo, it's still, you're still giving positive compliment.
Is that specifically like kind of an American thing, the like beginning a conversation with a compliment? I feel like I've heard recently that that's like a very American to just kind of give like compliments profusely like that.
Yeah, probably. I don't know. I've only been out of the country once.
Right.
And I went to not a very polite country, so.
Where'd you go?
Croatia.
Oh, really? Not polite. Interesting.
Not unpolite necessarily, but like
different customs, I'm sure.
Yeah, and I went to a part of Croatia that was very like there was not a lot of tourists where I was.
Okay.
Like, there was no English on my menus.
Got it.
Yeah.
Cool.
I loved it.
That's sick. Yeah, actually.
I've only been out of the country once, and I would go right back to there.
Really?
I would rent the same Airbnb in the same town. It's amazing. But so the next one is you smell nice. Because I have really hard feelings on you smell nice.
Okay. I would be totally, because if somebody said like, you know, if you hug a guy and he goes, oh my gosh, you smell really nice, like in the moment, and it feels like it's something that like comes up just comes out of him, then I think that's totally acceptable. It sort of depends on how you say it, you know, like if they're sitting across from you looking you in the eyes and they're like, you smell really nice, weird.
Yeah.
Weird, but if it feels like it's just like a spur of the moment, I think that's totally fine. I'll usually say it first, honestly.
I think I should only say it after a hug.
Okay.
Only.
Okay. Yeah.
Otherwise, it can be like.
Yeah.
Either it feels fake or like.
You smell nice and you smell good are two different things.
Again, huge difference.
Yeah. Like, you smell nice is acceptable. You smell good is like, yo.
Are you gonna take a bite?
Are you? Yeah, literally, yes.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think also, and this is again like something I saw online that women have said is like, if you have like if at this distance, that's not a good compliment.
No.
Because I can't smell you. So
you smell nice across the room.
But also like, if a woman doesn't have a fragrance on, it can be like he's a little close if he can smell my shampoo or.
He's like your pheromones.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's why like the smell thing can be a little weird, but I think it's obvious if a woman has a fragrance on to compliment it by saying you smell nice, or asking like. Again, you don't have to say, I like the way you smell or you smell nice. You can say, like, what's that perfume? And then it's almost a compliment if you say, like, actually, I don't have anything on.
Yeah. Damn. Real. Okay, yeah.
Because I think compliments are really hard for guys. I think they're really hard for girls, too, because I think a lot of times girls don't know how to compliment a guy.
Really? Oh, fuck, I'm full of them. I jump right into it. I can't help it.
But like, what's an average compliment you would give a guy on a date? First date, you walk up.
Dude, I'm insane though. Like, I feel like I'm always the one like dipping my toes into the deep end. You know, like I feel like I will always push like the comfort boundary like further down the line than maybe like the average person. So I would tell a guy that like he has nice hands on the first day. Like I will definitely get in there. Or like I love like you have beautiful teeth. That's like
Right.
because everybody's, you know, like if they have beautiful teeth, they probably fucking sat through a lot of years of braces for them.
That's
and are
a
proud of
compliment you can give a woman as well.
Okay, yes. Yeah.
I don't think you should compliment a woman's makeup.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, because you don't want to like imply that you notice those things. So.
Also, how many times have you left the house after doing your makeup and been like, I did not, this will work.
This is as good as it's going to get. Yeah, totally. Definitely.
And so, like, I think that's another, like, also surface level. I also don't think you should compliment women's clothes.
Women's clothes. Okay, interesting. Yeah.
I think boots are fine. Tennis shoes are fine. I would not compliment a woman's sandals or her high heels.
Okay.
Because those things I feel like can be fetishized.
Yeah.
And so you don't want them to think that you're paying too much attention to their feet.
Okay.
And
tattoos. Would you compliment a woman's tattoos right away?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Because they're obviously...
Charlotte, no.
Yeah. She's got like almost invisible ones.
Yeah. So like if I'm noticing the small lettering on your foot or one single tattoo on the back of your arm, probably not. You are clearly proud of yours.
Yes.
You know,
a lot of pain, a lot of suffering went into them. Yeah, definitely.
And I mean, so I think that's different. You know, I get compliments on my tattoos all the time. Gas stations, whatever.
It's really one of the easiest things to compliment. I love it. Like, and actually that's kind of like my favorite thing when I am just walking down the street or whatever. You know, there's like weird men will holler weird compliments at you, you know, like catcalling and stuff. But like I love when somebody just says like they're walking by and they go, wow, nice tattoos, or like, wow, I really love your tattoos. Like that's, and then just like, oh, thank you so much, I appreciate that. That comes from a genuine thank you place. Whereas if I'm like at HEB and some guy comes up and he's like, you're really pretty, I'm like, I kind of have to force like a thank you and then like try to get out of that conversation.
Yeah. Even those, and I know that you have hard feelings about this because we've talked about this, but I even think that sometimes like when a guy says something like you're really pretty that you don't know, it's coming from a good place. They're 99 times out of 100, they are not trying to be weird and they're not trying to like make you feel uncomfortable. A lot of men just don't know how, which is kind of why I wanted to like kind of talk about a lot of guys just don't know that that's weird. They don't.
I think if you're thinking in terms of like men that like maybe you would identify with, but a lot of times for me, I mean, I live on like the east side of Austin too. So like going to HEB, it's like the type of men that are saying that are like not normal guys.
I'm not saying that they're not. I'm saying that a lot of times those kinds of guys don't interact with a pretty girl very often.
That's exactly what it is. They don't interact with women, so they don't know how. Yeah, exactly. Or
like, I'm well aware that I interact with more females than high 95% of people. I interact, you know, I work with women of all ages and have for 20 years.
Sure.
So like I understand women, I would like to think more than the average person does. I think that that's not normal, obviously. And so a lot of guys just get uncomfortable. Like I see it. It's like what's the movie where the guy like squishes the animal that he loves? The book. Is it Flowers for Algernon or whatever?
Flowers for Algernon. Yeah, maybe it is Flowers for Algernon or Of Mice and Men.
Yes.
Is that Mice and Men?
Yeah,
Lenny?
like kill. Yeah, a lot of guys are Lenny. They're like pretty thing. I see the pretty flower.
That's so fucking true, dude.
I see a pretty flower, I have to pick it. Or like, you know, like when you're in middle school and you see like the brick walls like we have in here and you had to like run your finger in the groove. Like it's like the thing, you pick up the tongs to grill and you snap them twice. Like a lot of guys just like, it's just like, oh, I see a pretty girl, I need to tell her she's pretty.
But to me, that comes from, so like this is just the way that I experience it, right? Like when when a man does some stuff like that, like it feels like, yes, there's no plan. Like there's no plan, there's no follow-up. It's literally the only thought is like, I need her to give me her attention for 1 second of today. I just need her to like acknowledge that I exist, not thinking about her response and not caring what her response is. And that's the difference, is like when it's like a weird kind of creepy guy like that, like a lot of times if he says you're really pretty and then you give him even an ounce, even a glance, a look, then he's like, well, now I'm going to stay.
I think that is your perspective because you are like the deer in the woods that's being hunted.
Yeah, that's HEB. Yeah.
But also remembering that some people just like to watch the deer walk around the woods.
Sure.
And want to pet or feed the deer. But because you're a pretty girl in an area with a lot of things that are easily complimentable and approachable.
Yeah.
Tattoos make you far more approachable.
That's on me. Why is that?
It's because it gives somebody...
Why is that?
Because if you were you with no tattoos, I would have to search for something to say to you.
That's true.
I would have to go, probably not going to say you look pretty. Probably not going to say I like your feet. But I like the tattoo on your arm, so
yeah.
And we can relate because I have a tattoo too. So like, oh, you got tattoos, like, and a lot of times if you notice when a guy compliments you, it comes off really awkward. It's like stammering.
Totally.
They're just nervous. They're just trying to start a conversation because for forever men have had to approach women.
Sure.
Less often now, but like we're undoing thousands of years of programming.
Right.
So.
Well, and I think men will complain about that, where they're like, oh, I can't even talk to a woman anymore. And, like, you have to understand that, like, when men who don't know when to stop or don't know, I say don't know, but it's more like they don't care that, like, a woman is uncomfortable.
It's probably a mix.
Probably mix, yeah. But, like, being stuck in a situation, giving a man attention who, like, as you give a mouse a cookie, he's going to, like, follow you to your car, like that kind of thing. I feel bad sometimes, but I literally have to shut it off and not respond to people. Yeah.
I mean, it's weird. Like, I'll even say, like, speaking of HEB, like, I saw a female comedian that Charlotte and I both enjoy at HEB when I was there by myself. And I just walked up to her and I said, oh my gosh, can I take a picture with you to send to my girlfriend? She was perfectly okay with it.
Totally.
But then, like, and I sent the picture to Charlotte. She thought it was great. But then I was like, I just walked up to a stranger. And she's a pretty girl.
Yeah.
I walked up to a stranger as a man. I think I was wearing like a cutoff T-shirt. You know, with like headphones on.
Can I take a picture with you?
Yeah. Like, and I'm not a little guy. It's probably, I'm probably not the least intimidating person. I mean, you know me, so I'm not intimidating, but to someone, I have a beard, cut off T-shirt. She's probably like, never even thought, I never even like processed that might be like weird to her.
Potentially, but I think the biggest difference is you recognized her for her work, for her craft, not because...
She doesn't know that, though.
She doesn't?
Not when I walk up to her. When I'm walking up to her next to the nectarines.
Yeah, okay.
You know what I mean?
Until you say, can I get a picture?
But
then
you probably make an assumption about someone before they speak to you. You don't see the bearded man that's bigger than you with the cutoff shirt walking up to you and go, let me hear what he's got to say before I make a snap judgment. You go, oh my gosh, here he comes. What is he going to say?
That's exactly how it goes.
So you've already 100%. Made the interaction negative, even though he might be like, my best friend got tattooed by you yesterday. I want to book a full back piece.
I love that.
Right.
I love being like recognized.
You would have already made that negative association with this interaction before he got there. So you might have already poisoned the waters to where he might say something to you. And like energy is a real thing. Like, you know, so my whole thing with like the compliments and wanting to bring that up is I think a lot of times we have to just assume the best and assume the best more often than not, until like be aware that there could be a negative interaction. But like if a guy gives you a compliment that you don't love or that might feel a little creepy, if everything else is okay,
right?
You know,
I definitely try to, and I will say that, like, I absolutely try to. Like, if somebody gives me a compliment that's a little like, I'm definitely trying to like see it for what it is and be kind about it. There's just a certain threshold where it passes over that. So like a lot of times I can tell by energy by like how someone is looking at me.
Sure.
How someone is looking at me and how close they are getting to my face.
Sure.
And that's usually where the line is drawn. If a man walks up to me and stands a healthy distance away, even if he's like I would love to like get your number or something, I'm just like, oh, thank you so much, like that's sweet, like that's really sweet of you, but like I have a boyfriend, like right. I'm genuinely being like, that's very sweet of you.
Right.
HEB the other day, I see a guy like walking and like he's walking by and I look up from my phone immediately, within 1 second, immediately I already know. I'm like, oh fuck no. And then he like walked past, and then as he came back, I had my headphones in, he came back and like leaned into my face and said something, I'm not sure. But like clearly wanted my attention, and I just ignored him and he like kind of walked away. But it was like, I feel like you can tell, and that's something that might be a uniquely female experience. Like, right, happened to the other day. A girl brought her boyfriend in to get tattooed, and like I just within 1 second of looking at him, I was like, "You're a problem."
Right.
Immediately.
So, but to wrap up, because it's telling us that it's our time.
Oh shit! Already, damn. Okay.
Do you think that there's a certain level of tattoos that are okay to compliment? Like, would you agree that like if someone has
a big tattoo
or like something that they obviously want seen?
Yes. Yeah.
Showing arms, like if you're wearing your tattoos proudly like that versus like having like a little something on your arm.
Yeah.
Like if you've got a vine wrap, maybe not compliment the one.
So, and that's an interesting like question really, because I think if you're just pointing out like a little nothing tattoo, you're more just looking at her body. Right. Whereas like if she has like a big tattoo or something that tells some sort of a story, you know, like a big like sort of specific image, you can be like, oh, whoa, that's freaking awesome. Like, who did that? Which
is the same reason that I say don't compliment clothing, because she might have chosen that clothing to accentuate a feature of hers. And even if you don't mean it to say like, I'm
nice, sure. I love how your titties are out of
He may not even be thinking that. He might have already decided before he got to that date, I'm going to compliment her shirt. And like plan it, and then he shows up and she's got like bazongas hanging out of a spaghetti string. He's like, "Oh, I've already committed to this.
I'm out of compliments now. I don't know what else to say."
Anyway, so not a lot of dating talk today, but I do think the compliment thing is helpful, and hopefully you enjoy conversations about just life in general and the way that people.
That think. Is a super interesting. Yeah, I would love to get Charlotte's take on that too. The compliment thing.
I didn't give her any of the ideas. I just told her.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I probably could go on with a list of these.
I know. I feel like
if you're watching this on YouTube or wherever you're leaving comments, comment a compliment and we will respond.
We'll let you know.
We'll have Charlotte respond with whether it's creepy or not.
Okay, perfect.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, thanks, y'all. Ciao. Love you.